special edition of Motive Video's RB and GTR tuning guide. We're at Garage S0 in Connecticut to take a look at valve jobs, how to do them correctly, and how people have been doing them wrong. So the way this special tech feature came about is Tommy and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about something very particular.
Have you ever heard of like a hot motor? Stumbled upon a thing that we believe explains the hot motor. Doing this outsourced, we never would have been able to figure this out because we would have had to go back to the machine shop, come back here, but having this in-house has allowed us to instantaneously bring the machinists over, show them the problem, and then solve it in real time, which is, it was honestly fun as stressful as it was.
Now, what you rang me and basically said you had some findings when it came to doing the machine work on the valves, where you have an untorque-plated engine versus a torque-plated one. Obviously, the theory behind it to me made heaps of sense, but I guess the deeper thought process is who's doing it and who's not doing it, right? And what the results in the real world actually happen. So what did you find?
Well, I was hesitant, if you remember, to even tell you.
Yeah.
Because like these are the things that make us, I don't want to say special, but make us a little bit ahead of the game. And I think in the RB world, it's really difficult today to have secrets.
Yeah.
I think most of the secrets are out. And I don't believe this is a universal secret. I think it's an oversight.
Yeah.
So what we were finding was, I'm going to say 20-30% of our engines, who leak down tests a brand new engine. It doesn't really happen very often. I'm a little more critical and I want to check things and I want to make sure everything's on the up and up. And as an air pump, you want 100% sealing across all 6 cylinders.
Correct.
Right? Any hole is going to cause an issue. And with a new engine, we were always told you should get about 85% leak down on a new engine across all cylinders. That sound accurate? The rings aren't bad, like stuff like that.
For more, but a brand new engine not bed in, he's going to have less. Yeah.
Right. So brand new engines, everyone just accepts that. What we were finding, and the big telltale was cylinder 1 and cylinder 6 being inconsistent with cylinder 2 through 5. So if you go outside to your car right now, if you have an RB, and you do a leak down test correctly, let's give an example, 70 in cylinder 1, 95, 95, 95, 95, 95, 80 in cylinder 6. If it was 85, 85, and 95 throughout, maybe it wouldn't have raised too much of a red flag. We had an engine that was brand new that had 55 in cylinder 1 and 55 in cylinder 6 and 95 throughout. And we're like, what is going on here? Now, this is only engines with aftermarket head studs. Head bolts, you don't get that distortion. But what we're finding is as you would loosen the head, you would leak down better. You know, like not fully loosen, but as you loosen it, it was basically like what, JB, 85 foot-pounds it would start to seal?
It starts to
Yeah, 80, 85 is where it starts to distort. So as you get below that, you still have a seal on your head gasket, but all of a sudden your leak down would get better. And we're like, what's happening? Everywhere we look, no one really uses a head torque plate. With this length and a thing called core shift and the fact that they're cast, you'll see that there's inconsistencies throughout the whole thing, right? Like no two heads, things are in the same place. So while we were going, like we're loosening them and we're finding this in real time and we're kind of freaking out. And then we started doing some research, finding some other things and discovering basically you're distorting the whole head as you tighten past 80, 85 foot-pounds.
Correct.
And when you're doing that, you're ruining your seal. Is losing its concentricity. It's no longer round. We had to make a custom torque plate, then bolt it to a head, had to have approach angles so that you could still do a valve job while having this torque plate bolted to 110 foot-pounds and get that concentricity. But the craziest part and the scariest part is when you take it off the torque plate, it doesn't work at all. You know, it leaks again, and that's not what you're used to.
So in the same way that an engine block, we use a torque plate with that, the cylinder is perfectly round when you bore it with the torque plate on. You take the torque plate off and then you go and measure it again. It's now not round anymore. So you're finding that the heads, aftermarket studs, a lot of torque down is doing the same thing. But you're right, no one works it out because no one leak down tests a brand new engine.
And by the time you're leak down testing a brand new engine, it's because of trauma. It's because of an event on the dyno or whatever. So everyone just goes, it was that other thing.
And then you're vacuum testing statically the head on its own to see if you've got valve seal. So no one's ever doing some type of bench vacuum test when it's torqued down. So they think it's fine on the bench They think it's fine when they do it. They put it all together, and then by the time you run it in, it's too late for that to work out.
And to be fair, a 75% leak down, probably you won't hear. You won't have any really symptoms to it. But the craziest part is, because of the inconsistencies in the casting, we would have like, we tested all the heads that were off engines here because we don't have any outside engines, they're all ours. We would have like a 20% success rate where one just got lucky, didn't distort at all.
Yeah.
And that was annoying because I want consistent results and I wasn't getting them. But after doing this and then putting them on the engine, it was obvious that you need to use a torque plate when you're doing it.
As you said, the hot motor effect is usually more about, you know, something making 500-600, you get two cars identical setup, one makes 50 more than the other.
You're like, my brain goes crazy where most tuners are like, oh, you know, it's the setup, it's this, that.
No.
I am looking for so much consistency that I'm like, I can't sleep at night when one makes 50 horsepower more. Yeah. I think so. I think that 20% hot motor thing is really just a good leak down, a good casting, you know, like no one thinks twice about using a torque plate on a 12-inch thick piece of iron with sleeves and like that's, I would assume, granted it's taller, there's more structural rigidity or torsional rigidity in an iron block than there's an aluminum head. I think the iron block can disperse the clamping force a little better where you're not inconsistent from cylinder to cylinder, where the head, it's not so much. And the biggest telltale, like I say, is 1 and 6.
Well, we could talk about this all day, talk about the theory, talk about everything. We've got a much better idea, and this is how we do it at Motor Video, and it's great to have Tommy join us on something so technical. We're going to take a cylinder head, we're going to do a valve job without a torque plate, and then we're going to bolt it onto an engine and do a vacuum test, take that head back off again, then we're going to do a torque plate and do it correctly, and do the exact same test again. So rather than just talk about the theory of this, we're going to go prove it. To showcase this phenomenon correctly, the team at Garage S0 got ahead from the machining queue and got to work on a refresh, first measuring the valve guides. The head is first cleaned and then goes into the oven to heat it up so the stock valve guides can be removed. The new valve guides are then pressed into the head at the correct height. The head is then resurfaced flat. The next step is to hone the valve guides to the correct tolerance. Then it's time to set up the head to cut the valve seats, first time around without a torque plate. With all of the valve seats cut, we can then test the concentricity. Concentricity is a 3-dimensional measurement, not 2-dimensional. This is important as it shows how well the valve will contact the valve seat the entire way around and over its depth. The lower the number, the better the seal. The contact is also important for heat dissipation as well. The valve seals and valves now need to be installed. With the head assembled, it's time to test.
So what we have here is the freshly done valve job, no torque plate. So this should, and I say should because I believe I said in the beginning, we have a 20 or 30% success rate with just good heads in general, where it'll still leak down without the torque plate, but it's, so this should now leak down beautifully without the torque plate, not torqued down in static, in a static state. So you put this on, you want to check that gauge. So what you're going to want to see is at least green. 99% of the time it's much further than green, but green is in the good zone. So this is the first one. And now another big part of it is that. So see how slow it's going? Of course it's going to leak. It's fresh, whatever. See how slow it's leaking though? When you have a leak, obviously that's way quicker. So for cylinder 1, whichever cylinder that is obviously good. There's 2. Perfect. 3. Perfect. 4. Perfect. 5. Perfect. And 6. You want to do intake side as well? I know your viewers are pretty picky, so we'll do every single one so you can confirm there isn't, you know, some going on. Hope you don't mind swearing. There's 1. I like that too. Two. There's 3. 4. That was a good one. It did. Now 5. I kind of messed up how I put it on. And here's 6. So mind you, when we bolt this on, the telltale sign is cylinder 1 and 6 are going to be the ones that will show the most inconsistency. So now we'll bolt it onto the engine, do this test again on the engine to show you which valves, what's getting distorted, because what we believe is happening is this area is pulling this seat towards the stud. Same with this, same with this. Reason it's not happening here is because you have more support from here to here. Where here, you don't get any support, right? It just stops a ½ inch away. So for some reason, this area is helping this stud and these seats, et cetera, but this one and this one are the worst. All right, so mind you, I told you we have a 20 to 30% success rate, so this might be perfect still, but I don't think so. All right, intake side, cylinder 1. Now watch this. So we have successfully ruined this. Now watch this. That's a leaky valve. We'll do them all, but this is my favorite part, is how 2 through 5 are usually good. We've seen a little variance, but 2 through 5 are usually good. Yeah, sure, that's a pass. That's a good one. Kind of want to skip to 6 and then go backwards because we know 2 through 5 are going to be good, if that's cool with you?
Yep, go.
All right, so 1 and 6 are always the interesting ones. It's almost like we scripted this. So that's 6. All right, now I'll do 3, 4, 5 just to show you. Decent, good. Here's 4. As good. And here's 5. Then we'll go to the exhaust side. Not quite as good, but passable. So 1 trash, 6 trash, 2 through 5 passable. So we're not doing a leak down because there is one variable with the piston rings that we don't want to introduce. So with this, you're just able to vacuum check it. It's like a reverse leak down, and it shows just this side instead of the whole story. A leak down shows almost too much, but a leak down will be worse because you'll have the warpage on exhaust and intake in each cylinder, where right now you're only seeing intake and only seeing exhaust separately. But still, if you need more evidence than that, you're just trying too hard. So here's your 1 exhaust. I can't even see it, but I'm sure it's not great. Barely in the green. Now I want to see like.
Turn it off. Yeah, it goes down fast.
Yeah, and it doesn't even listen. I mean, I'm gonna stop it and try to pull it off and then hear the noise. Here's 2. Good. 2's good. I'm going 3. I'm gonna do it quick. 3 good. You can even see about the speed in which it fills up. Like now that we've seen so many, it's just like as soon as you see that thing move, you know. Same with leak down. 4. 5. And then my second favorite, 6. Oh, it is good?
It's okay, but they're not what they used.
They're not what they were. So, I mean, now we just get to do this again. We get to do a whole other valve job with the torque plate, and you will see the exact opposite of that. You will see it fail static, and you will see it pass bolted down. Truthfully, what matters is when it's bolted down. As an air pump, it can't have a hole in it. Let's call it a hole. It's got holes in cylinder 1 and 6. Let me show you something really interesting now. This is going to go back to good when we loosen it. So, I mean, maybe just hit this one and just do this one. Just to get the, all right, so keep your eye on this closely.
Hold on to the block.
I got you. Hold on. Go ahead. Whoa, look at that. Soon as you loosen it, seals right up. That's what it was. So, like, once again, what more evidence would you need to know than what we just showed here?
Now it's time to do it all again, but with a torque plate on the head. So it's valves out and onto the torque plate and torqued to the same torque settings as we had on the engine, which is based on which head stud you use in your engine build, such as ARP 2000s or ARP Custom Age 625s. Also note the torque plate has a head gasket on it. Once again, best to use what you use in your engine build. You can see cylinder 1 and 6 both fail the concentricity test, which explains why it failed the vacuum test when bolted down to the block. We put some ink on cylinder 1 and 6 valve seats so you can see that when the cutting tool first hits, it takes off one side before the other due to the distortion in the head. With the seats recut, the torque plate is removed and the head is once again cleaned and the valves are reinstalled, ready for testing.
You know the torque plate, it's still bolted on. We're going to show the test pass on the torque plate. Take it off, should fail. Bolted to the block, should pass just like the torque plate. Torque plate just simulate the exact same scenario, but we got to do all the testing. So let's go 1, torque plate check. Looks good to me. 2. You like that? You happy with that one? 3. Good. 4. Good. 5. Pass. 6. Good. 1.
Exceptionally good.
You notice how the small valves do a little higher. They're all above standard, but the exhaust definitely checks better. 2. 3. 5. And last, 6. Okay, so torque plate, we're all in agreement. Torque plate, head is perfect. We'll take it off. We'll do the test, not bolted down, and then we'll put it on the same block we did last time. All right, first test. Obviously, torque plate's not on. It's actually not bad. It happens though. Pretty good. I don't know if like this in reverse is pure perfect science, but right now it's sealing great. Jesus. God damn. All right, 6. All good on the intake side. Cylinder 1.
They're all passing.
These are all testing really good, which is fine. It doesn't mean anything. This is the same head, this is the same everything. You want them to pass, but they pass with the distortion. That's what matters.
This is where the variation of the heads come into place.
We actually got a good test with it unbolted. Obviously, this is the same head that we did yesterday. Passed as we loosened it, but failed as we tightened it. It could happen. You know, like we've seen, like I told you, we had 20 to 30% that with a valve job, no torque plate, they would pass. And we had 20 to 30% that would do this with when you done bolt them, they'd pass. It's just based off the core shift. But I would say the big telltale was when we loosened it and it passed yesterday. That's more telling than this part of it. So we'll bolt to the block now, and it should pass just as well as you just saw it. We're gonna check it, no dry run. This should be exactly what we think, I hope. I mean, we can go through all of them. I will go through all of them, but if 1 and 6 check good, 2 through 5 always will. 2. 3. 4. 5. And the second most important one, 6. Damn. Okay, we'll do exhaust, but mind you, this is torqued with aftermarket fasteners, which is the scenario in which you use this. I'll say it a million times, right? You want me to make sure I drive that home. Aftermarket fasteners, you won't, from our testing, it won't happen on stock. You can't go hard enough. 75 foot-pounds doesn't distort the head. There's probably some secret sauce there where Nissan knew that, or they probably went to 80 and saw a distortion and said, let's back it down to 75. Who knows how they do stuff? All right, we flipped it around to exhaust. Everything's gonna be backwards. So this is 1. 2. I kind of missed. Hopefully it's okay. 3. 4. 5. 6.
Turn it off.
I think the most interesting part of the no torque plate is failing. That's interesting, but loosening and watching it in real time pass after loosening it and getting rid of that distortion is pretty, it's pretty telling. We were able to pass static, not bolted to a block. We don't really do that test too much. When we were discovering this, all we were doing was what you saw where it would pass on the table, fail on the block, loosen, pass. That's what we were doing, and we did more assuming that it would fail static. We did do a couple, and some of them did fail, but this one holding, this was also a really good head from a really low mileage car. So I think there's probably some things to take into consideration there. Regardless, you see it bolted down as you would see it in a car, passing beautifully, post torque plate, valve job. And that's what we're trying to drive home here is that torque plate is integral to this whole situation.
So I've spent a lot of time in machine shops when it comes to blocks, and this is probably the most amount of time I've ever spent in a machine shop working on the RB26 cylinder head. So some of this information, even though I know all the theory behind it, it was great to see all of this in person, not just the actual test itself, but the entire process, watching Garage S0 go from a completely stock head to one that's been completely refreshed the exact way that you would expect to do it. But in summary, really, it's quite simple. If you have standard head bolts, there's no distortion. Once you go to an aftermarket stud, the tighter you do it, the more distortion you're going to get. At what point do you have a cylinder head that distorts enough that it now fails a vacuum and obviously then a leak down test? That will just come down to some variables. One variable will be how soft or hard is that head? How many heat cycles? Is it in good condition? That will always be a slight variable. As Tommy mentioned earlier, they still had some heads pass that didn't have a torque plate. Maybe that head just didn't distort as much. And exactly what foot-pound is that going to distort the head? I think that's also going to depend on which stud you use, and same deal again, the condition of the head. So it's one of those things where people out there are going to say, my car's fine without a torque plate. And you know what? 30–40% probably are. But there are definitely ones that are failing the test when they're torqued down onto the head that have been done without a torque plate. So that tells me that I would want a torque plate used on any valve job on an RB26. Another impressive thing I found out is the guys at Garage S0 actually had engines they built, found this problem, pulled those engines apart again, redid it all with a torque plate because they wanted to be 100% happy with those engines before they went out. So for me, it's not just cool to learn about new things about the RB26, but it's cool to see what another shop on the other side of the world is doing, and it's pretty cool.